Yo, what's good? I appreciate everybody for tuning in. The over 16,000 subscribers who tuned in to your boy DFD is greatly appreciated. In today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about a scam. I don't know if it's really a new scam, but we're going to talk about scamming, how these scammers are trying to avoid prosecution. And we got to give a shout out. I got to get one of those sound thing so I can just hit the button. But we got to give a shout out to Florida because everybody always give Florida a lot of crap because, hey, a lot of times when you see crazy news in the story, crazy stories in the news in the story, crazy stories in the news, I first think of Florida, New York, then Texas in that order. But shout out to the state of Florida. If you're from Florida, hey, drop a FL in the comment section. But hey, Florida gets some things right. They passed some legislation to put an end to these scammers trying to finesse people when it comes to rental real estate. And hey, I also got to give a shout out to Florida for a video I did where they put actual limits on alimony. Hey, I'm just saying alimony shouldn't last forever until you get remarried. That's crazy. Like you just out gallivanting around. So we got to give props to the state of Florida. If you're new to the channel, I'm Marcus, the Debt-Free Dad, where we talk finances, attorney reactions to the current events. Some of those events may be political, maybe a finance nexus, it may be some scamming. They got a little bit of everything involved, but we definitely dive in. If you get some type of value out of it or entertainment, or if you think I suck, hit the dislike button, leave a comment, subscribe or not. But if you do, hey, it's free 99. It's an easy way to support the channel because I'm not going to be on here selling y'all a bunch of stuff. All right. Oh, disclaimer for the Bar Association, licensed attorney, multiple jurisdictions. None of those jurisdictions amount to me being your counsel. So if you need a professional in your area, finances, legal, if you need a professional, go find one in your area. Don't rely on a talking head on YouTube, even if it's your boy. All right. Now, let's go in. We got a couple videos we're going to watch today. The first video is about 3 minutes because we got to talk about the scam that's being used as the excuse first, which is the older scam. Then we're going to dive into the new thing that's going on. Well, not really new. It's just how scammers are trying to finesse their way out of getting criminal charges, which actually isn't that dumb, amazingly, but it's probably not going to work. But hey, it's not that dumb. It's not the dumbest thing I've seen scammers do. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to give a little legal analysis to break down why it's actually kind of smart, but why it'll probably not work in the long run as things change. All right, let's go ahead, cue up the first video. Let me see, which view y'all like better? Y'all like it? So I guess Wiz like that. Let me see. All right, let's go and cue up this first video so we can see what's going on. Now, this is a throwback to, hey, this is actually a real scam. This is an older video, but this is a real scam what people are doing. And it's actually kind of wild if you think about it.
Tonight, a look at a rental scam from the inside. Con artists are preying on people who are looking for a place that they can afford. So they're using fake real estate listings and they're exploiting the convenience of self-guided tours. So how do we know? Well, 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz went house hunting.
Vicky King knew moving would be a hassle. It was worse. Turned out the house her family started moving into was never even for rent.
My heart just sunk.
They'd found the rental on Craigslist and called to see it.
And the guy said, call me when you get there. So we did. And he talked us through opening it.
Real quick, hey, just to talk about things on Craigslist, whether you buying or selling something, Craigslist is like the shady block in every neighborhood that you're real cautious about if you got to go there for anything. That's what Craigslist is. So if you buy something on Craigslist, just me, I'm assuming it's a scam. If you selling something on Craigslist, I assume that they may be trying to gank your boy. So I'm like, yo, we got to meet someplace public. Like I already roll with one of the homies. Y'all already know what the time it is on the Second Amendment side of the game. But Craigslist is generally terrible. I tried to sell a couple of vehicles on Craigslist, and you either get people who trying to finesse, not all the time, but I always would get people who was trying to finesse or people who was cheap as hell. Like, bro, I'm selling a car for $1,000. What the hell you expect it to be, a Bentley? So Craigslist is generally bad. Now I did buy my motorcycle off of Craigslist. It's worked out, and the guy was mad shook too, as he should have been. But we met in the open location. But generally, as a general rule, be very cautious when you're doing any type of financial transactions on a Craigslist, because it's just kind of shady.
My heart just sunk.
They'd found
Moritz went house hunting.
Vicky King knew moving would be a hassle. It was worse. Turned out the house her family started moving into was never even for rent.
My heart just sunk.
They'd found the rental on Craigslist and called to see it.
And the guy said, call me when you get there. So we did. And he talked us through opening it.
They could do a self-tour using the owner's lockbox.
And you just say, I want to take a tour now. Yes. Unlock the door. And it click.
Electronic lockboxes. Many real estate services use them as a convenience for tenants, but scammers are taking advantage, creating an illusion. So how does something like this happen? We searched for rentals that seemed too good, then Googled the address. This says rent is $12.50. Sweet. But our search turned up another listing. It's actually for sale.
I don't understand why you're renting a house that's for sale. He hung up on me.
Within minutes, we found dozens of hijacked listings. This house truly was for rent for $19.45 a month, but on Craigslist, it's just $1,000. So I texted the number. The man said he was the owner and I could see it at the property.
Hello.
He called and instructed me to make an account on Rently, a legit service that provides lockboxes for self-tours.
Click on phone now.
Rently did require my ID, facial recognition selfies, a credit card, and my phone's location. There was even a scam warning advising me rent is $19.45. But he'd previously told me there was a rent-to-own option for that amount.
Click on the box.
Once I got the code,
It's making noise. Oh, okay. We have a key.
it didn't take long, and he wanted money.
You pay the security deposit, you pay the rent, so you can move in as soon as possible. As you can see right now, the property is vacant and ready for it-up moving, and you have the keys in your hand.
We didn't pay, and fortunately, Vicky and many others have. When I texted the so-called landlord that his listing was fraudulent, he responded, "That's not true. Don't get scammed."
Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Okay, so we contacted the real property manager. Renters Warehouse told them about the fake listing, and the company said it, quote, condemns any kind of fraudulent activity and actively mitigates rental listing frauds to protect its customers. Now, we also emailed Rently. It tells us that it has, quote, heavily invested in software and people to reduce security incidents, and it's reminding renters to be vigilant. Neither company, by the way, is implicated in any wrongdoing or rental fraud.
All right, so real quick, Rently, y'all look kind of terrible. But that's an old school scam that's been out for a while. But the scammers can even finesse the app that controls the electronic lockbox to give people access. This is kind of insane, actually. This is actually kind of crazy because folks taking this whole thing to a new level. And the sad part is, if you get finessed in a rental scam, you probably never ever, I'm gonna just keep it a buck. You probably not ever see that money back again because the person is gonna be long gone. You don't really got nobody to complain to. This just could end a ridiculous amount of ways. Just think, I had a rental property before, and the tenant didn't want to vacate when it was time for them to roll out. And so I remember I called up the management company. Was like, "Yo, I'm coming down there. If they in there when I get there, we'll just deal with that. But I'm coming down there." But think, if you go to your property, it's supposed to be vacant, but there's actually somebody in there. And that person in there think they have a right to be in there because they got a bogus lease agreement because they got finesse. Man, you can have a damn shootout at the OK Corral. Because I know when I went into the place, I was like, "Yo, it's not supposed to be nobody in here. But if somebody in here, don't act crazy because, hey, we're in the Carolinas and your boy strapped up." But it could get wild. Now, let's take a look at how that scam is playing a benefit to people who are actually squatting in homes. So let's go ahead and cue this up so we can see. This is like compounded finesse-ness. It's not just one finesse, it's a second finesse. Then when they're on the verge of being caught, they try to blame it on a previous finesse that didn't happen. It's just a whole finesse on top of a finesse on top of a scam system. But it's not that stupid, because I'm going to explain to you why legally, it's actually a kind of smart idea. Like somebody put some brain power into actually trying to come up with this. So let's go ahead, cue up this video. Again, shout out to Florida, because Florida be coming up with them wild shit happening in Florida, like crazy shootout on the highways and all sorts of crazy ass stuff. But shout out to Florida legislature. If it's something that they don't want to happen, they'll put that shit in the law so damn fast. And this one is actually a good one. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Well, the News for Jack's I-Team is getting results after our series of stories on.
All right, now this one is a more recent story. It's like 9 days old, but it was some previous stories, but I thought this one took into account everything. And I don't want to be here all night, and I don't want to hold y'all hostages all night, watch a bunch of news videos. But take a look at what's going on. Then when we get to the end, we're going to see how they're utilizing the previous scam to try to circumvent being arrested or charged by authorities or prosecutors.
Well, the News for Jack's I-Team is getting results after our series of stories on squatters. A bill passed unanimously to protect Florida homeowners. Our investigation exposed how a loophole in the law allows squatters to live rent-free in a home for weeks while the property's owner wasn't allowed on the premises.
It gives me a real feeling of positive hope that we still have the ability to discuss challenges in our society and work with our legislatures in a bipartisan way.
As the I-Team's Ann Maxwell explains, this bill would close that loophole, and it's now headed to the governor's desk.
I own the house.
It's been a year since Patty Peoples found strangers had moved into her rental property.
Record it.
They refused to leave, and it was Peoples who was banned from the premises as the case spent weeks moving through civil court.
Hold on, real quick. Could y'all just think about that? The pure, like, this is just getting crazy. The pure audacity for people to move into your rental property and then they maneuvering around and act like the shit is theirs and not yours. Like, that's actually kind of insane. And because of the loophole in the law, like, you as the homeowner couldn't even get on your damn property. That's crazy as hell. People don't got no respect for other people's shit.
Peoples found strangers had moved into her rental property.
Record it.
They refused to leave, and it was Peoples who was banned from the premises as the case spent weeks moving through civil court. After confrontations,
Your police report states this is under investigation. So with that being said, we don't have to leave anything until the police comes back and tell us what would be the
I have every
decision.
right to be in this house.
You don't have every right to be in the house at all.
do, ma'am.
You do not.
and threats,
To protect my house, I'm finna bear on.
the women were evicted,
Stolen washer dryer.
and the house was left with tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage.
When Peoples first found those unwanted guests living here, they produced a lease telling police they were victims of a rental scam.
All right, let's rewind that back. So the cops come. So you got these hooligans in this lady house. They threatening her. They saying the police are investigating. And when the police showed up, they provided a bogus lease saying that, hey, we got this lease agreement from person A, and asserted that they were the victims of a rental scam, which is the scam that we showed at first, where people have bogus rental listings and enter into fake rental agreements.
Wanted guests living here, they produced a lease telling police they were victims of a rental scam. Again, police records show they made the same claim at this nearby house. It took the owners months to evict them. Right around the time they moved in to Peoples' house.
It's just the Wild West. They simply move from one place to another.
Now, state lawmakers have passed a bill to put a stop to it. The bill allows law enforcement to immediately remove squatters who do not have a lease authorized by the property owner. It also adds criminal penalties, designating intentionally presenting a fraudulent lease as a misdemeanor and making it a felony to intentionally sell or lease someone else's property or cause damage like this while squatting or trespassing. The
Shout out to the legislators in the beautiful, warm state of Florida. Shout out to them because they got this 100% right. I actually hope that, hey, I'm not saying all the Florida laws are on the up and up, but this one is something that's right. I hope this is kind of universally adopted. I don't know. Some of them places like California, they're a little wild when it comes to people doing wrong things. They give them too much damn leverage. But this is something that should be adopted across the board. Let's run that back real quick so we can just see what the penalties are or what the Florida legislator actually did here, which, hey, as far as I'm concerned, shout out to them. This was great, a great piece of
move from one place to another.
Now, state lawmakers have passed a bill to put a stop to it. The bill allows law enforcement to immediately remove squatters who do not have a lease authorized by the property owner. It also adds criminal penalties, designating intentionally presenting a fraudulent lease as a misdemeanor and making it a felony to intentionally sell or lease someone else's property or cause damage like this while squatting or trespassing. The women who made themselves at home here were never criminally charged.
No, I'm gonna keep my comment to myself. I was just about to say something about the persons who were actually in the home. Like they need their ass whipped though. Like real talk. Shout out to the law-abiding citizens who don't take the law into their own hands. Because I tell you right now, it'll be hard for me. Like you in my house, and I know you're not supposed to be there, and I gotta wait 2 months to go through court. I probably do it, but it would be begrudgingly. It would be bad. Like, yeah, like I don't know. I'm not even gonna say like that's your house, your property. You losing thousands of dollars, waiting months for people to get the hell out so they can actually get tenants in there, and they damage the shit.
Here, we're never criminally charged.
Did you ever think we would be at this place where we are today?
Absolutely not. I have never felt more unempowered or hopeless in my life than on March 1st, 2023.
This is your property.
It was soon after that Peoples first shared her.
You see this is pure ignorance right here. Like this is pure ignorance. And shout out to the news reporter. But hey, she being about that life, right? I just want to zoom in on this unadulterated ignorance that's going on. Let's zoom in. Let me make my face small and zoom in. Now they already in somebody's house who don't belong. They acting like assholes. This lady, hey, I'm giving her props for, hey, like, hey, I know she probably got sons or nephews. She didn't even go that route of calling the sons and nephews. She tried to handle it like a law-abiding, mature citizen. And when they go in there, look, they bucking at the lady, they bucking at the news broadcasters, but they don't realize the news broadcaster is about that life. Because if you buck at somebody and they don't flinch, it just makes you look weak. So shout out to the news broadcasters for realizing, like, yo, you ain't about to do that.
23.
This is your property.
It was soon after that.
Yo, this news broadcaster, I rock with her, man. She like, nah, man. She didn't even acknowledge the tomfoolery that was going on. Shout out to her, and you know, a shout out to goofy ass people doing the wrong thing. Now they got laws to throw y'all asses in jail, which is where y'all probably should be.
This is your property.
It was soon after that Peoples first shared her story with the I-Team. Later, she was invited to share it on national TV.
Chair and members of the committee.
And then in Tallahassee.
Are you surprised your story has resonated so widely?
Not really. And I'll tell you why. Because at the crux of this issue is just basic unfairness. You know, if we don't have the right to inhabit our own property, then what kind of world are we living in?
Ann Maxwell, Channel 4, the local station.
All right, shout out to her. Shout out to her for dealing with everything professionally. Now let's tie it all back in. So the very first video we saw was of a scam of people saying that a property is for rent, but it's really not for rent. It's a fake lease scam. Like, okay, this property A is for sale legitimately, but someone listed on whack-ass Craigslist or some app saying it's for rent. You see it for rent, you think is a steal, you contact them, you potentially get a fake lease, you pay a deposit, and you get absolutely nothing. You stand on this property and you aren't entitled or lawfully have the right to be on this property. Now let's fast forward to the other story. Squatters who are staying in properties, but what was the compounding scam here? Well, in Florida, there was a loophole, and it actually is all over the place because I've seen this in multiple states where someone can squat and you got to have a whole active, you got to get them lawfully evicted, even though they don't have no lawful rights to be on the damn property. So Florida enacted legislation to, close up that loophole. Cops said they can be removed immediately, which is a good thing. A misdemeanor to present a bogus lease, and a felony to present a lease for a property that isn't theirs, or to destroy a home if you're squatting, and all sorts of stuff like that. But this is where I don't know if it was just accidental, but it was actually some thought that went into these fools who were squatting in this house presenting a bogus lease. All right, because if you're squatting in the house and the cops come and you don't got anything, they like, hey, you clearly criminal trespass, probably was the old law, something to that effect. But if the cops come and say, yo, DFD, you're not supposed to be here, and I say, no, here go my lease, and I give them a lease, and my argument is, oh, snap, I got scammed. I thought I got a good lease, but this was really a bogus lease. Well, how does that help you out from actually squatting on the property? Well, it would help you out, because if it were in fact true, even though it was bullshit for these people, but if it were in fact true, I got scammed and I think I legally own the property, but I don't have any requisite criminal intent, so I can't be held criminally liable. Very rare chance that any prosecutor would actually take a case if it could be legitimately proven that you believed you had legal title to the house, but you actually had bogus title. In those situations, it actually is a smart thing, because if it were true, or if law enforcement actually believed them, it will remove any criminal intent. So it would help them really avoid criminal charges. Now, with these yahoos who was trying to intimidate the news lady but wasn't going for it, that definitely wasn't the case, because it was a track record of them doing the same shit with the same bull crap story over and over and over. It was I know it's funny, we just talk about how the squatters are. It's getting kind of crazy, but like, hey, Florida was on it with that law they passed. I think it should put an end to it. I know typically when you see these type of laws passed in Florida, they get passed immediately in like your usual suspect southern states. So you'll see like Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas. And I mean, honestly, I think that shit should be universally adopted across the board. But it's a cold game out here when you got scammers trying to scam people with rental properties that they don't even own. But then on the flip side, you got squatters squatting in your property. But when law enforcement get caught up, jump on them, they present a bogus lease and they say, oh, I thought I had title to the house, but I was scammed. Is it smart? It's not the dumbest thing I've seen, but it is some legal nuance there, because if in fact that is true, it would eliminate any criminal intent, and there's a very, very low likelihood that they can be successfully prosecuted, or a prosecutor would even prosecute this case. But again, in the instance, in the scenario we seen, those people weren't shit. They were just squatting, making this a universal pattern, presenting these fake bogus documents. So now, hey, if you're thinking about squatting and your excuse when you get caught is you got finesse with a bogus lease agreement, in Florida, it's a felony to present a bogus lease agreement, and that's probably going to get you in more trouble than it would if you were actually squatting in the damn home in the first place. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. It's getting rough out here for folks. And I think the thing too is like most landlords, well, I ain't gonna say most landlords, but you got a lot of landlords who are people like, it's one thing to have corporate landlords, because I'm gonna just be honest, I would be less concerned with someone squatting in a property that's owned by a company who own 20 houses on this damn block. That would be of less concern to me, because, hey, it's a corporation. y'all can eat those losses. But most renters or most people who invest in real estate that I know, they normally get their first real estate property either through an investment or it's a home that they had and they moved and got a different house, but they want to keep that house. So most people who own properties, they aren't in a position to eat 1, 2, 3, 4 months of not getting rental income to satisfy that mortgage and a bunch of jerks damaging the property. So shout out to Florida. Big props to them for presenting that legislation to help stop all the foolishness. That's the same thing I said. I was like, Florida actually did the right thing for a change. Hey, I'm not saying Florida don't do the right thing. All I'm saying is this was a good piece of legislation. And Florida does put out some legislation that just kind of sketch. But hey, on this one, as co-counsel said, hey, they got it right. I think this is the right move. And while co-counsel is here, y'all make sure y'all go check out TXC Tells All. 2 high-speed attorneys over there who are a lot more professional on YouTube than I am, but they talk about current events. They give legal updates on things like student loans, veteran benefits. I was tuned in to veteran benefits because your boy, but they give a lot of good information across the board that you can use, and they have some entertainment content. So make sure you check them out. Shout out to everybody who watched this video. If you're on the replay side of the game, leave a comment. Let me know. Hey, Florida got one right. I don't think anybody would disagree with that unless you're one of these losers who try to squat on people's property. Hey, and if you enjoyed this video, check out the video that's going to pop up on the screen because it'll probably be more content that you look. They took away Black History Month and gave squatters law. Yo, they don't want none of that. What is it called? It was like, what was it? African American Studies, it was some crazy thing that they were just like, no, we ain't doing that. We ain't talking about nothing here. But hey, shout out to Florida for getting one right. They got one right in this instance. Hey, and they got something right when they said no more permanent alimony indefinitely. So, hey, so far, hey, that's 2 for 65. So far, Florida, they trying to move in the right direction on a few things. Y'all take care. Y'all have a good one. Peace.